They can't cancel us yet.
No, because we don't exist.
We don't exist.
Not yet.
Exactly.
Welcome to the Recovery Idiot. My name is Leroy. I'm a recovered alcoholic addict. Tonight I bring to you a special guest, special as in special needs, but this is my friend and sponsee, Daniel. I'm a very busy person, and when this kid asked me to sponsor him, I wanted to say fuck no really bad.
I concur.
I heard him at meetings, and he talked a good game, but usually people like that don't last too long.
No.
And he called me one day and said, Leroy, I need to work my steps, because if I don't work my steps, I'm going to get high. If I get high again, I'm going to die. And I said, yes, this is the type of desperation I'm familiar with. I remember feeling just like this idiot and knowing death was around the corner. So I decided to sponsor him. And with that gift of desperation, he's come a long way. And we went through his steps very quickly. And he's still alive, so congratulations to me. So I'd like to introduce you, Daniel.
Hi, everybody. My name is Daniel, and I am a recovered alcoholic.
Yes, you are.
Can't believe I still made it. So, I guess we're just going to follow this small format Leroy has brought to me. I would just like to give you a little background about who I am, where I came from, and where I'm at now. I was born in Fort Lauderdale. I am a product of the pill mill generation, doctor shopping, and I was actually really good at it, fantastically well. I had 10 doctors, and I couldn't keep any pills. Just something about when I got that bottle into my hand and it started shaking, it's just fantastic. You remember that noise?
Yes.
That's
why you put a paper towel on the top so it wouldn't shake in your pocket.
Yeah, I never wanted to. I just, I always wanted to keep hearing that thing rattle. So I don't want to get too much into too many war stories, because I feel like being like a recovered alcoholic, and people that are listening, really they kind of know what it was like. But I will give you a short few stories that I think really puts emphasis on why I am the way I am, and why I'm here right now. So I never really realized I had a problem until fentanyl entered the picture, until that came. That was a game changer. So what had happened was I was driving home one night, Super Bowl Sunday, 2021, from my Oxy dealer in Fort Lauderdale, from Fort Myers, because driving 2.5 hours for Oxycontin is just something I like to do for fun. And I totaled my car, nodding out behind the wheel of the car. And I no longer had a source or means to get to where I needed to get what I wanted. So I had an ex-girlfriend at the time. I knew that she did things. I wasn't sure what these things were. And that's what left me to calling her and saying, hey, I can no longer get these substances, and I need what you have. And what she had was this magical white powder in a bag. And it wasn't long until my early 30s. I was 30 until I put a needle in me. And that's where it all started. I was in a Walmart parking lot like any normal good drug addict is. And I overdosed in her car like any good person does, well-respected person in society. And this girl was sweet enough to Narcan me. It was very nice of her.
That's a
keeper. And she pulled me out of the car and proceeded to run me over. She ran me over and left me for dead in this Walmart parking lot. And I came to an hour later, and I got up, and I went to get up, and I was I couldn't walk on my left leg. My phone was broken. My wallet was stolen, because the people that frequent the Walmart parking lots at 1 o'clock in the morning when this happened are not usually very reputable people. So I made my way over to a Circle K, and I asked the person, the convenience store clerk, to use the phone, and I proceeded to call the police and tell the cops that I was robbed and jumped, and I don't, and they got away. Sending the Lee County Sheriff's Office on an all night excursion for people that did not exist. I apologize to the Lee County Sheriff's Office for that. Um, the very next day, she called and I was like, "You left me there." She goes, "Oh, I was gonna check if you were still there in the morning." And I knew when I went to the hospital and they told me my leg was broken and I was in a lot of trouble. The very next day, I hit this girl up, and I knew that's how far my addiction has taken me. I have robbed, I've stolen, I've cheated, I've lied to everybody that I loved, and I feel like that is something that the majority of us can feel and understand, like the depths that my addiction took me. And I did not see a problem with this. Also, I used to hide my syringes and couch cushions at my family's home. Um, and one day my parents got a new couch and they opened up the cushion and there were like 20 syringes. And my mom was like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "Diabetic medication needles." She was like, "What do you use them for?" And I go, "Fentanyl." She was not at all surprised, which is quite amazing to me. But I mean, there was this constant struggle in my life of like never feeling part of, never having enough, never feeling like anybody wanted me around. Like, so there were always these underlining issues, like my family dynamics. Like, I never wanted for anything. I was raised in a very good family. Nobody in my family is a drug addict or an alcoholic. I can say this, though: the only person that is a drug addict or an alcoholic is my brother, as we both know. I can say that because he's one of us. Um, Me and my brother are both adopted. We come from the same mother, different father.
This explains a lot.
Yes, we were both adopted a year and a half apart. Um, I feel bad for my parents for doing that. I apologize. You didn't know what you were getting, and they got a ride for 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Um, there, it just never occurred to me that I had an issue or a problem. I went to rehab, I went to treatment, but I would get there, and there would be all these people from like New York City, up north. They would have track marks on their arms, and I would be like, "I'm not one of you. I'm just doing Oxycontin. I'm completely fine." But yet, I'd get out of this treatment center, and like not even the next day, 12 hours later, I would be right back to it. Now, things didn't really start hitting me until I started losing all of my friends. Um, and I think that's something to point out here because my parents, they often look at me and say, "We've been alive 70 years and we haven't lost nearly as many people as you have." Um, my very first sponsor once told me something that rings true to AA to this day. Is he looked at me and he said, "Daniel, you need to realize something coming into these rooms. You're going to be stepping over dead bodies all day." And and that rang true. Um, Not everybody will make it. Um, I I feel like for me, like the reason where I like grow strength and like know I have a higher power is because I'm here. I'm still here. Like I still have like a mission. I'm not sure what that mission is, but I know it's. I kind of know. Like I know it's to help other alcoholics, and take them through the steps. But also, I don't know what else I'm put on this earth for yet. Um, you know, for me, going into this time around, I knew I had to do some work, and I knew I had to do some work very quickly. I knew I was desperate. I knew I was willing, and I knew that if I did not, I was going to pick up a substance rather quickly. And for me, that means death. So I got out of treatment, and I didn't want to do these things that these people at these treatment centers wanted me to do. I never did, and I never stayed sober from anybody's recommendations because I never took any of their recommendations. One of the things that was told to me is go to a meeting, find a sponsor, work steps, get through those steps, help another alcoholic, do something meaningful, because I am such a selfish and self-centered fucker that like it nothing ever, bothered me. I didn't hurting people never bothered me, lying to people never bothered me, cheating, stealing, doing all those things never bothered me. I remember this one time I was in the Howard Johnson, right, reputable hotel. I don't know if people know about the Howard Johnson.
Do you want to Fort Lauderdale?
No, I'm Fort Myers, but I think they're pretty much shitholes everywhere you go. Trap houses with a rental agreement, $180 a night, and you can trap your crack out the house, right? I met this fine, upstanding woman. And when I mean woman, I mean prostitute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fine, upstanding prostitute. And she had this evangelical gift, and the gift was she knew how to cook crack cocaine in a microwave.
Wow. Another
Keeper. I looked at her and I said, I'm only gonna smoke one $20 rock.
That's responsible.
Yeah, she laughed in my face. I then proceeded to stay with this said beautiful woman, prostitute, for 2 days. I stole her crack, her money, and her gun out of the hotel room, and then I hid it underneath my mom's love chair.
The gun or the crack?
The gun.
Okay.
Yeah, underneath her chair that she sits on every night to watch TV. And the stolen handgun underneath of it. She had no idea. I mean, she knows now because she's gonna watch this. And these are the kind of decisions that I make when I'm out there. I think the only good decision that I've made while I was using substances, I was up for 4 days on a raging crack binge and fentanyl binge. I haven't slept. I got burn marks on my lip, on my mouth, on my tongue, from like dripping crack. And I called treatment Banyan Stewart. No affiliation. They don't sponsor us yet. And I was so broken and I was so beaten that I made that phone call, and that was one of the best decisions I made out there when I was in my addiction, because I knew that if I didn't stop, one or two things was going to happen. I was going to die, or I was going to die and kill the girl that I was smoking crack with. Because she was a keeper as well.
No, you don't want to let somebody else get her.
No,
She
she was amazing. She was amazing. She knows who she is. Cheers. And I think the idea of bringing this podcast together where we can finally all come to listen, to vent, to find ways to help another person. I mean, these are just some like personal struggles that like were in my addiction, but I feel like if you can relate to like the hopelessness, you know what I mean? Just the despair. Like I was incapable of keeping a job, having relationships, paying any kind of bills, keeping $1 in my pocket, keeping a nice cell phone. Every cell phone I got, like if I got an iPhone 14, I sold that for drugs too. So like I was incapable of like doing any of these things. I mean, pretty much living life on any like level whatsoever. And the fact is this, my sobriety date is 10/7/2023. Coming up on 5 months. In these 4.5 something months, I've done more and accomplished more than I have in the last 30 years of life. And I think that's the miracle of it. What I can accomplish now is something that I couldn't do with self will in 20 years or self knowledge. I mean, it just doesn't work like that, you know. And I mean, I feel like, as people, we've all experienced losing friends and people we care about are either dying or going to jail or being sent to state prison, you know. And just most recently, there was somebody that, you know, that I lost in a place that person shouldn't have died. And you know, it's sad. It's sad to see that, you know, when people just aren't ready, you know. And like, when you look at somebody and you tell them like, hey, if you keep doing this, you're gonna die, and then the next day they die. It's very real. And like, I do want to say, like, if anybody is struggling or is not sure or needs help or is fighting with any kind of demons, I think like this is a place, like, you know, wherever this is put out, to like write a comment, get a hold of somebody. Like, I like, don't be afraid to say something, you know, because if you don't ask for help, then how do we know to help? You know, that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you. You
Yeah.
know, I used to, when I would speak, I talk about all the people I know that died. And there was a time when I was up to like 26.
Oof.
26 people. I started this journey again in 2019.
Yeah.
And there's people I lived with, people I was in meetings with, people I grew very close to, and just one after another. And I got up to 26, and then it was a number in the 30s. And I remember bringing it up at a meeting I was speaking at, and a very wise man told me, "Did you care about dying when you were using?" It's like, no. It's
No.
like, either do the people using. He's like, stop telling people they're going to die and talk to the people who want to live.
Yeah.
I was like, well, shit. That kind of makes sense. So I tried to, you know, focus on the people that actually want help, like the people who come desperately calling, saying, I need help. Because you can't go up to somebody in active addiction, somebody who's getting high, and say, hey, buddy, you might overdose and die, because I didn't give a fuck. I was told all the time. I was resuscitated in JFK Hospital in Palm Beach.
Oh, that's a very nice facility.
And I just overdosed while driving my work van.
Yep.
And got brought to the hospital, wasn't breathing, Narcan me.
Mm-hmm.
They told me, you're going to die. I said, yeah, I know. This sucks. I need to do something. And I walked out of that hospital, and I was walking back to my van. Somehow it was still there. And when I got in it, so were the drugs.
Yeah.
And I immediately got high again. So I didn't last an hour on self-will. You know, luckily we have a book,
Yes, the book.
this book,
book.
that tells us all about those things about self-will and why we need something greater than ourselves to conquer this. Because all the times I really, really, really wanted to stop doing it, I really, really couldn't. And we talked about the pill mills, that brought
Yeah.
back great memories. Because they weren't really pill mills when I was started. In 2004, 2005, Oxycontin was the safe alternative
To heroin.
to those. No, to dangerous pills like Vicodin and Percocet.
Oh, yeah.
Those were becoming
Yeah.
addictive. So they came out with this thing that was,
Yep.
you know, 5 to 20 times the strength, that can be released instantly, much safer. So
Much safer.
just friends started getting them. And everyone, hey, you try one of these? The first one I ever tried was a 20. And I, back then, a couple of Vicodin or a perk could keep me good for a
Yeah.
couple hours, you know. I really wasn't off the rails. And the first time I snorted a 20, I was like, here we go again. This is fucking so much better than heroin.
Yeah.
Because that, you never know what you're going to get.
No.
This is amazing. It's pre-packaged. I know what I'm getting. I know I'm getting 20. And then I know I'm getting 40. And then, 80.
80.
It don't get better than this.
80. No.
And I had a doctor, and it was just, you know, it wasn't a shady doctor. I went to him and said, I had pain. I just had knee surgery. He's like, all right, well, what's your pain level? Like, I don't know, bad. And he actually took out a little chart. And it was like, if your pain level's a 2, those are Oxy 20s. If your pain level's a 3, those are Oxy 40s. If it's maximum pain, it's Oxy 80s.
80s.
Like, yeah, maximum pain, that's what I need.
Yep.
And I get $270 a month. And just like you said, I could never make it to the next month.
Nope.
And every time, this is something I didn't realized 15 years later, every time I would run out because I was powerless over the amount I could consume. But when I would run out, I would just do a lot of coke for a week.
Really?
Or dabble in some meth, which was real popular in the Midwest where I was living.
Okay.
And I never really ran out of anything. So you don't really notice you're dope sick when you're taking other drugs. Talking about the first time you smoked.
Yes. Yeah. So I remember the first time I was asked to speak was at Alternatives, Port St. Lucie Motorcycle Club. Shout out Alternatives.
Drug Addicts Anonymous.
Drug Addicts Anonymous. Friday, 7:30. Saturday, DAA, 7:30. It's a must-come check-out meeting. A lot of great sobriety in that room. A lot of recovery. But it was a Friday night AA meeting there. I was asked to speak. And I remember, like, I was real nervous. I was thinking about what I was going to say, you know, like I had everything planned out in my head, like, yo, this shit's going to be awesome. Like, you know, I'm going to say all this stuff and these people are going to get up and clap and they're going to worship me at their feet. Now, at my feet, no, that didn't happen. I went outside and I prayed and I instantly forgot everything I was going to say. And I sat at the table and what proceeded to happen was probably the most absolute fire shit.
That's what I was there.
Yeah.
That's amazing how that works. But
Yeah.
you know what I did before we started this?
What?
I didn't pray. I forgot.
Oh, shit.
I've been busy, you know.
Busy?
It's not like I tell people constantly to pray before they do absolutely everything and then don't do it myself. Like, what kind of horrible sponsor would that be?
Oh, these are just new circumstances. We're learning. We're always learning. And I think that's, for me, the most important thing about my sobriety and this journey I'm in, you know, on with, like, you guys is that, like, my sponsorship family is a bunch of retards.
Ooh, I don't know if you can say that.
Yeah, I could say retards. I can. I most definitely can. They can't cancel us yet.
No, because we don't exist.
We don't exist.
Not yet.
Exactly. And there are a bunch of fuck-ups and a bunch of people who are just like me.
Yes. I am a fellow retard. And
Yeah.
you are one of the fellow idiots now, so congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm proud you've made it this far. No one thought you would.
No,
And,
I'm surprised myself.
Every day I get a text from you, I'm amazed.
Yeah, yeah.
It is a wonderful thing when you can see somebody come in an absolute flaming dumpster fire
Oh.
and slowly, come around.
Straight water trash. I was water trash.
What is water trash?
Water trash is the water that leaks out of the bottom of a trash bag into the dumpster.
Yes.
And you lift all the trash bags and there's a water at the bottom of the dumpster. I was water trash.
That is worse than a dumpster fire, I think.
It doesn't really get worse than that. I just think I was driving over here and I was like thinking about the podcast because I just came from a meeting before I came here, which is something you probably should have done as well. And
I'm sick.
I know you are sick and suffering. And I just think it was I was like, I hope he's filming it. I hope he's doing this. I hope he's doing that. I'm just like, bro, I'm going to come here. We're going to sit down and we're going to shoot the shit, man. And we're going to see what happens. And I think the best things are unscripted sometimes, especially for the first one.
Yes. Well,
If you've never taken Xanax and lost your vehicle and not knew what happened the next day,
you're not an addict.
then you're not a fucking addict.
If you've never taken Xanax and been arrested for shoplifting, you're not an addict.
If you have not taken enough Xanax and then got arrested by the Broward Sheriff's Office and they ask you if you want to sign your rights in the interrogation room and you pretend to overdose on the floor so you can get out of the interrogation, you are not an addict.
So when you were talking about the not being one of you, so I never ran out of drugs. I ran out of certain drugs, but I just substituted other drugs. So it just continued and continued and continued. And it went for about 20 years or so.
Yeah.
But I also never thought I had to go to meetings. I went to an IOP to get Suboxone. I never thought I was one of you people.
Yes.
And I definitely didn't think I was an alcoholic.
No.
Because I was always able to keep a job and a car and pay bills. And I was able to do all that stuff and a nice cell phone. I was able to do all that stuff, so I thought I was successful. I was miserable and hated life and woke up suicidal and would test positive for 7 drugs every single day. But I thought I was successful because I wasn't one of you people. And one of the things I learned when I first had to go to a halfway house, when I got there, I looked at the people in there and was like, I'm definitely not one of you fucking people.
Do you remember your first halfway house
Yes.
experience? I do, like,
'Cause
relatively well.
I was 42 at my first halfway house, and these people were fucking freaks.
Insane.
And they had all lived under bridges, and
Yep.
they were all on psych meds, and they were all garbage people. And I was like, I'm so much better than you. I do not belong here.
No, I do
and
not.
After working this program, I realized, oh, I'm so much worse than you people.
Yes.
Because I did grow up in a nice family.
Yeah,
I
right?
didn't need stuff as a kid. My mom wasn't a crackhead. I wasn't touched by a priest. Not that I'm ready to talk about yet, at least. But I had a good life. And I fucked it up over and over again because Oxy 80s were more important than anything else in the world. So I learned that, yeah, I'm not one of you people. I'm much worse than you
Yeah.
people.
For a long time, I had zero consequences, and I think that's also a big thing. Is like I never got any consequences for a very long time. When I did start to get consequences for my actions and for my usage and my alcoholism, like that's when things started to change. But like I could always find a way to con somebody, find a way, get money, do all these things that I never had any consequences. And because I never had any consequences, like I didn't ever have to.
I mean, I was always in jail, but it wasn't a big consequence. Jail was no big deal. And I always had a new girl that could pay bills that I could live with. So I was never homeless. That was the only consequence I was worried about. Going to jail all the time, I used to say that was the price of admission. Like, you want to live a life that's fucking awesome. You want to be able to steal and have guns and tons of drugs. You go to jail sometimes. Big fucking deal.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a consequence for me. It wasn't until the last time when all those things hit at once and I was homeless and I was in jail and the girl did leave and I did lose that car and lose that job that was kind of a consequence. But even still, I don't think I was that ready yet.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. So it wasn't even big for me either. Like this time around, like the consequences, like they pushed me into like the beginning of my sobriety. But like I honestly felt like even at the end, I could have still kept going.
Yeah, if
You know what I mean?
if you had the money and the means,
Yeah.
it was there. You're probably gonna.
I would have probably kept going.
Well, that's why going to jail this last time, I always say how you look back in your life and that was the worst moment ever. But really, that ends up being the starting point of when things change. And the last time I was arrested, worst moment ever. Just wrecked the car.
Yep.
Another car. Just got arrested again. Lost another girl. Lost a house. Lost everything. That was the worst moment of my life. But it was the beginning of everything because I had nothing left. It was the beginning of me being broken, but I also, if I had been bailed out or if I had been let out in 1 month or 2 months, I wouldn't have done this. I needed to be in a cage for a long time to be able to get to that point where I go to a halfway house and I'm like, oh, these fucking morons. All right, well, I guess I'm one of these people.
It's like when your worst moment turns into your best moment ever.
Yes, that's a very creative way of saying what I said.
It pretty much.
It's
how I
true.
look at it.
Yes.
Every
moment when you look back, when the girl leaves you, or you get fired from that job, or whatever the fuck, somebody relapses. It's all the beginning of the next good thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully that person in relapse gets to hit their rock bottom and start over, or that other option that keeps happening to people.
Death.
Yes.
That's what happens usually now, majority of the time. And I think that's like the thing with the majority of my relapses. I would come in, I would stay sober for a month, right? I would go to a halfway house. This is when I was living in Fort Myers, that I had a friend that owned. So like I would shoot up in his halfway house and I would get caught and he wouldn't kick me out. He'd be like, just better not luck, just give it another try. Don't do it again, pretty much. And like this person had like 10 years of sobriety. And I think the thing about it was he was, he was a friend and that became a problem. You know what I mean? I would go out, like I would just like, I would get a month, get 3 months, get 2 months, get 8 months. I'd work some steps like very half-ass. I would leave things out of my 4-step. I wouldn't sit with God on 6. 7 wouldn't be an issue. Forget all that. I didn't do stuff wholeheartedly or put a lot, into it. And that constantly, kept me going out, and also like a big thing for me, like I got to understand is like, I don't work a perfect program, and I don't claim to ever work a perfect program. And to be honest, I'm gonna
those people that claim that
are full of shit.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm gonna look into the camera when I say this. If you sit in a meeting and act like you work a perfect program, you're absolutely full of shit. And because of some of those people who are absolutely full of shit, I would hear them speak at these meetings, and it'd be like, oh my God, if I lie once, I'm gonna get high. Oh my God, I lied once. And it's like I manifested this high, you know what I mean? Like, cause like, for me, like, I didn't think that it was okay to like make mistakes. You know what I mean? And I've made a ton of mistakes in my sobriety this time around, but those things are not going to put me back out. It's
No,
not.
we are alcoholics, but
Yes.
we're drug addicts.
We are
We
drug
are 100% drug addicts.
Drug addicts,
And
yeah.
we gotta learn things the hard way.
Yeah.
And we learn things the hard way by fucking things up repeatedly.
Burning it to the floor.
Every time someone says don't do that, we
Doing it.
And the only way we learn, a normal person is told the oven's hot, don't touch it.
Touch it.
They don't touch it. A drug addict, the oven's hot. Well, how hot? Well, how long can I do this
Can I
until
keep my hand on
okay, I'm getting
this?
burned,
Yeah.
but I can still take it. So,
And I
we learn
think
things the hard way.
exactly, and it wasn't until this time around when like I was grateful enough to know some people in the area that I'm in now. Shout out to Stuart, Port St. Lucie, AA, TAA. Love you guys for everything you've done for me. Like, I think, knowing some people from the first time I came around, I'll forever be grateful to Bryant. You know what I mean?
Who's that?
I'm not going to tell you his last name, anonymity. But no, he's my grand sponsor. And, I asked him, I came into the halfway transitional living that I'm at now. And I looked at him and I go, I need help. I need help now. The first sponsor I have, I'm always very grateful to him, but it wasn't working because I needed relief quick, and he gave me your number and he said, call. And I just knew that I needed to do something quick because I'm the type of person that if I don't start implementing some of these steps in my life, I'm gonna go back out. And I'm not a person that can take a year, a step a month, work out of a workbook, do those types I just can't, and I'm not knocking anybody that can.
Now, one of the reasons I tell people to work through their steps as fast as possible is because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people that took a year. And it wasn't because I was running a different program or I was doing a step a month. I just wasn't doing them because my life was getting better and better. And I have a high tolerance for misery.
Yes, same.
So even though inside, I was getting to be a little suicidal and homicidal again, that's okay because that's my normal operating state. So I was working on getting my license back. I had a place to stay. I wasn't, cops weren't kicking in the door. I'm not sticking a needle in my arm. I'm pretty successful.
Yeah.
But I was, starting to get, what's the phrase? The restless, irritable, discontented. And I couldn't understand because I'm not on drugs and alcohol. Why am I feeling so crazy? And on the time period when I thought about shooting up the halfway house and taking myself out, I talked to the same person, that guy Brian, and was like, why don't you work the steps? So I was like, ugh, guys,
God, fucking guy.
And that's why I tell people to do it as fast as possible because don't go through a year of fucking suffering for no reason. I wasn't doing it because I was against it. I just was stupid and lazy.
And that's like really big for me because look, I'm able to get through situations now,
Those situations which used to baffle us.
Yeah. So really funny story. My sponsor here, he had a conversation with me out in front of a clubhouse 3 months ago. He said, Daniel, don't get into any relationships in early sobriety. And I looked at him and laughed and said, I got this. And I did not. She flew home back to Missouri promptly a week ago. And haven't heard much from her since, and he was definitely right. But I've not. These are things that used to send me back out. I've not found the need to pick up a drink or a drug again. Like there are situations that happen in my life where I I just that is not my go-to solution anymore.
Well, the thing is, I can tell you don't get into relationships because do you know what I did that was wrong?
I got into a relationship.
I got into a relationship. Yep. And the thing was, my relationship didn't lead me to use drugs and alcohol, but it led me to, again, suicide, homicide, possibly kidnapping and holding for ransom. Lots of bad things because it's just not good. And this is why I try to preach to people the rules about rehab romances.
They don't work.
The reason they don't work is because you meet these people when you're at your lowest point in life and your brain has just been reset. The drugs and alcohol are out of your system. Oh, I feel great. Let's live life. And then you meet this fellow piece of trash that has the same interest as you. And she's giving you attention like, oh my God, I'm homeless and just overdosed for the 10th time.
I have
this
no
girl
money.
Loves me.
She loves me.
She's got to meet my mom. And the thing is, they're as fucking damaged and as insane as we are.
Yes.
And we think this is a good idea. And we all do it. And I carry this list of all the relationships that started in rehab that are successful. And it's this little tiny list right here. Because it doesn't fucking happen.
No, it doesn't.
As drug addicts, we gotta do it until we learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's like just so funny. It's because it's like, I didn't coin this phrase and I heard this and it's really great and it's applicable to mostly all things. And it's like, I got this endless hole and I'm looking for this endless source to fill it with. And it doesn't matter if it's women or if it's scratch offs or energy drinks, prostitutes, hand jobs, Asian massage parlors.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, great places. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's like, and it's a God-sized hole. And that's why I think it's very important, like, newsflash, I hate to let you all know about this, but like, I believe in God. And when I say God, let's just calm the fuck down. I don't mean a fucking religion, okay? I'm not Buddhist, or I am a Jew by birth, but non-practicing. I'm not no Catholic, nothing like that. I say God. Really simply because it's 3 letters, it's easy to spell, and I have absolutely no idea what the fuck it is. And I know it's there. And that is like the thing that changed the game for me. I started to realize all these situations that I've been through. I also, like you, have had the pleasure in coding in a level 1 trauma facility. I shit my pants on the ER table. Nice. Vomited and convulsed all over myself, and then proceeded to die. I came to, my parents were in the room, they left, the doctor came in, and the doctor said, listen, next time you decide to die in my hospital from an overdose, please die on the sidewalk outside. And I won't forget that. And those were not, the fact that I lived is not just merely luck, is what I'm trying to say, or the times when I've overdosed and I've been found, or not luck. Those are not coincidences. Those are moments that for me now were God.
So, obviously, I believe in God too. Don't know what it is, but it works.
Yes.
And if you believe in a God, it changes the game. When I say God, instead of saying higher power, because like yourself, I'm an idiot and lazy, and it's easier to say G-O-D than it is to say my higher power, who I can't see, what I don't understand, but he makes everything better. So, we were talking about God and filling that void. Mm-hmm. I always say I'm powerless over anything that takes me away from God. And I'm powerless over things like scratch-offs and energy drinks and women
and prostitutes,
and gambling, prostitutes, anything that makes me feel not like me and takes my mind off God. And when I say God, I mean helping others, being a good person, working this program, living my life with the steps. Anything that distracts me from God is trying to fill that void that only God can be there for. Well, Daniel, thanks for coming and spending time here at the Section 8 recording studio in
Thank you.
Stewart, Florida. I have no idea what we're doing. I have no idea what happened, but it's a start.
Yeah.
And I would like you to continue to come, and we will spend some time and go through the book,
Yeah.
and we will talk about subjects and actually accomplish stuff,
Yeah.
and we'll continue to hold each other's hands on this spiritual journey
That
we
was
call life.
gonna. That was gay.